Okay, be honest. Who would you rather learn Japanese from? A Japanese guy or some American dude named Kyle? Probably not Kyle. Now, who would you rather watch in order to learn how to make sushi? Uncle Roger or certified platinum rapper Yeet? I think the answer is pretty clear, except, as always, there is one problem. Watashi wa Nihongo hanasemasen, which is Japanese for, I don't speak Japanese. But when has a language barrier stopped me from doing something stupid? So today I'll try to learn an authentic recipe from an authentic source, albeit in a foreign language. Except, instead of a Japanese guy, it's just a Thai guy. But the concept still applies. Okay. Let's talk ingredients, because much like Kafka's writings, this gets pretty weird and confusing pretty quick. You're going to need 300 grams of chicken thighs, 50 grams of peas, which was constantly translated to turkey berries in the main recipe, and left me scratching my head for a long time before realizing what they were. 300 grams of eggplant. I mistakenly bought the normal one because that's what the description said, not realizing there's also a Thai eggplant, but in Gindai Arodwai's defense, he probably just calls it eggplant. Some fresh Thai basil, not to be confused with normal basil, a thinly sliced and seeded red pepper, some coconut milk, some Thai green curry, some fish sauce, brown sugar because I couldn't find any palm sugar, and kaffir lime leaves, which I personally skipped because I couldn't find at multiple supermarkets, even after searching for more than 2 hours. Machtkauf? Count your fucking days. I started off by washing my vegetables and letting them dry, and I'm not gonna lie, I've never handled an eggplant this big before. It really made me feel some type of way. Threatened, to be exact. I also wanted to prepare some rice on the side, and naturally I decided to wash it. I started off by carefully chopping the eggplant. I cut it into bite-sized pieces, then I placed those pieces into a sieve on a plate with a paper towel beneath it for water absorption purposes. Afterwards, I salted the eggplant, gave it a little toss, then salted it a bit more. The reason for the saltation of the eggplant is to remove the bitterness from it. At least that's what Martha Stewart told me, so if that doesn't work, you guys can sue her instead of me. Afterwards, I sliced the red pepper open, removed the seeds from it, and then thinly sliced it. The red pepper I never really felt threatened by. Something of that size felt quite familiar in my hand. Once those thinly sliced Once those thinly sliced slices were sliced, I placed them in a bowl with water to keep them crispy. Apparently they were supposed to float, but mine sunk immediately, so I prayed for them before moving on to the next step. For the next step, in typical me fashion, I shot myself in the foot by realizing I forgot the chicken in the freezer, and I finally know what my mom used to feel like. I decided to prepare the peas first, and then do some forbidden things to the chicken in the back rooms in order to make it somewhat warmer. I did my best to chop it into medium-sized strips, which was somewhat of a struggle, but I think the chicken was enjoying it because it was making some wet noises. Once that was done, and last but not least, don't forget to clean up after doing the deed before moving on to the next step. Now that we have the preparation out of the way, we can finally get to the fun part, fucking up the recipe beyond belief and potentially culinarily offending an entire ethnicity. The first step he did was pouring in about 50 to 100 milliliters of coconut milk into a pot on medium heat, and he essentially said to continue cooking it until the oil cracks. I have no clue what that means, but since I'm a visual learner, I was able to see that he kept stirring the coconut milk until it had a thick, paste-like consistency. I also started preparing my rice on the side because I assumed that the coconut milk will take a while before it reaches the consistency we wanted. As always, after the rice came to a boil and started simmering, it started creating a weird foamy bubble monster. Every time I've Google searched this problem, the answer was always to wash the rice a bit more, but between me and you guys, that honestly never helped. Unless they expected me to give each rice grain a 5-star spa and resort treatment, which in that case, tell the rice to suck my... After cooking it for about 15 minutes, I kinda got bored and hangry, so I decided to just move on to the next step, which was dumping in the Thai green curry and cooking it till it becomes fragrant. Part of me thought it looked like liquid number 2, but the smell had me convinced otherwise, and for all the right reasons. I just had the sudden urge to move to Thailand and start selling online courses on some bullshit that nobody needs. He said that you could add some more coconut milk to make sure that the consistency remains creamy, and I made sure to do exactly that as I'm a big fan of cream. The Wu-Tang song, not whatever you were thinking of. After cooking it for about 2 minutes, I moved on to the next step, which was dumping in the chicken and letting it fry for about 4 minutes. And I gotta be honest, it just kept on smelling better and better. In the main recipe, he said to keep on stirring to make sure that the chicken doesn't stick to the pan. Luckily for me, I didn't have to worry about that because my chicken was frozen and it was already stuck to each other. Also, can we not talk about how his ended up being like beautiful, vibrant green and mine just ended up being like shitty diarrhea green? After getting sick and tired of stirring the chicken, I thought to myself that 4 minutes must have passed and decided to move on to the next step, which was dumping in the rest of the coconut milk. But don't get too excited about 400 milliliters is all you need, just about enough to drown the chickens and the dark thoughts. The next step is bringing it to a boil so that the chicken fully cooks through, giving it a stir every now and then. Once it comes to a boil, dump your peas and your eggplants in there, making sure to overcrowd the shit out of your pot. Wondering if you did something wrong, as his didn't look overcrowded at all. And as you can see here, I am now making what is perhaps my biggest mistake in this recipe, which was trying to think intuitively and adding some more coconut milk, which did help a bit with the overcrowding, but I believe it diluted the taste a bit as well. It also took away a bit of the beautiful green color that I was after the whole time, because I really needed a good thumbnail picture. Cook the eggplants and the peas for about 4 minutes on high heat or so, as the sauce needs to remain boiling in order for them to cook. And once they were soft enough for my taste, I added in about a tablespoon of brown sugar and holy shit, 8 tablespoons of fish sauce. That's a lot of fish sauce. Are you sure this is right? Keep stirring the curry, letting it cook for about another 4 minutes. Naturally, I got incredibly curious and I decided to try one of the eggplants. And even though it wasn't New Year's yet, I had fireworks going off in my mouth. The final step is adding in the Thai basil leaves and stirring it for a bit. Before, of course, adding in the garnish, which is usually a step that we skip. And there it is. Authentic Thai green curry, cooked by a Syrian, living in Germany. I plated it and decided to take some thumbnail pictures, which in my opinion were all horrible, but I guess that's life. Once that was out of the way, I decided it was time to try it. Keep in mind, my favorite type of curry is denzel, but I still was very excited to give this a shot. Without any hesitation, I went for a big spoonful.
Wow, holy shit. What the fuck?
Curious and slightly unsure of what just happened in my mouth, I went in for another bite. I've just never had anything taste this foreign and good in my life. It was a bit spicy, but the coconut milk was just immediately there to soothe my gums. Words honestly cannot explain how tasty this was. I've really never made anything this good in my life. 9.5 out of 10. Thailand, I'm on my way, and I'm bringing my shitty online courses with me.